Greetings, friends. Happy Sunday. I hope this message finds you well, at least in a place where you are safe and resourced enough to sit and watch a video on Substack or YouTube or wherever you find this. I want to share this morning about a recent awareness that has come into my consciousness that's shining a very big light on my experiences of this past year. It's a personal sharing that I hope will be useful to others, that might be understood by others and maybe actually similar to what some of you are experiencing right now. As many of you know who've been following me and my work, I am on a mission. I've been on a mission for some time, actively, creatively since, say, 2022, to bring about something new in the world, to consider this invitation of life anew on a personal and collective level, specifically inside this frame of understanding that we are here to be made new as individuals and as a world, that we are here to spiritually evolve. And the frame of that evolution that I have been taught, the school of thought that I have been formed in, is this school of the new church that Emanuel Swedenborg declared was on its way, ready to descend into the world to bring about a new era of life on this planet. And after 20 years of serving an institution dedicated to that mission, serving an institution within the forms and frames that had been established, in 2022, I started to make the turn to suggest we really need not be bound by these forms. It's time to think more deeply, more intentionally, more creatively and exuberantly about what this invitation is, and to really start to embody it. And what was really happening for me was a new embodiment. I was beginning to embody the life of the new church inside, in a simple way, in a direct way, in a way that was really changing me, changing my reactions, my habits, my assumptions, helping me to sort of shed so many of the beliefs and habits that had been circling, perpetuating suffering throughout my life. So I have every confidence that this path is good because it feels good to me, because it is creating good for me in my life, in my direct relationships, in my moment-to-moment experience of being a human on the planet. And I am seeking to bring that goodness into community with others through what I call the Helen Keller Spiritual Life Collaborative, through Be Love, Be Honest, Be Useful as a frame for inhabiting and understanding this new way of living that I'm starting to experience and that I want to experience with others, for the joy of it, for the pleasure of it, for the love of it. So the discovery that I want to share this morning, after that long preamble, thank you for being patient with me. I like words and I maybe use more than are necessary quite regularly. But what's come into my awareness very strongly, very in the way that makes you laugh. I wonder if you have that experience when you really see something about yourself it brings laughter, it brings just bemusement, is that everything I've created this last year, this creation series very particularly, that I've been taking part in, that I organized and brought leaders into and invited people to join us through this Substack, these Be Honest conversations, these retreats, all these things that have come into creation through this new energy that is emerging in me. It's all beautiful and good, and I'm deeply grateful for all of it. And what I'm becoming aware of is that in the midst of all of this, it's become obvious that it's a little too much, that I'm being pulled in a lot of directions, that I've kind of, more has been created than I can really hold. And specifically what I've realized is that I have still been preoccupied with how is what I am offering being received by the people who I feel a responsibility to serve. I have been preoccupied by this question of how am I being received. I've felt myself wondering that, considering that question even over the last 7 minutes that I've been recording this video. There's still a part of me that is preoccupied with that question. How am I being received by others? Am I speaking in a way that my fellow humans can understand and be served by? Am I recording in a way? Am I publishing in a way? Am I making offerings in a way that they can be received by my fellow human beings? And this question of how I am received is something has been locked in my consciousness since quite early on, right? This is an early formation, right? Formed in me as a small child looking to survive my life, right? Being tuned in to what other people around me need, how they need me to behave so that I can be received, so that I can be heard and my needs can be met, and vice versa. This is baked into my personality structure, and I'm guessing it's baked into a lot of our personality structures. Perhaps it's baked into yours. And it's funny to me, it's humorous to me to notice how that aspect of my personality that I have been working on for years, long before 2022, that aspect of my personality that I thought in 2022, I really was just like, I'm not going to worry about this anymore, right? I mean, I did not set off on this journey in 2022 worrying too much about how I was going to be received. I declared a new church jubilee. I made some dramatic moves and shifts and really did not spend a whole lot of time being concerned about how others would respond. I felt deeply that God was calling me to be faithful, to be deeply faithful to my own experience, to what I was seeing, to what I was hearing, to what was possible, and to not temper that experience by trying to be palatable, trying to get along, or trying to fulfill the expectations of the people around me. So I thought I had abandoned this aspect of myself. I thought I had grown past it. And yet what I've discovered is over this last year, it has still been at work, quite under the radar in ways that were unconscious to me until now. But my choice, very specifically to produce this Worship is Life Substack, to put on a creation series that was entirely separate from this Substack, to invite a different group of humans to go on that journey, really motivated, I think, by a fear in me that, or a expectation that I held that I I should be able to create things for people where they don't have to listen to all of the things I do, right? I wanted people to be able to join the creation series, join these offerings by other human beings, and not have to come and listen to what I have to say every Sunday. And I felt the need to curate that, right? To curate what I do here versus what I do there. What's a part of the Helen Keller Spiritual Life Collaborative, and what's something that I just do for myself here on the Substack. And I'm really becoming aware of just all the ways that thinking about how I am being received was still playing into view. I've been very preoccupied with, am I putting out too much content and it's overwhelming people? Is it too inconsistent? Is it too limited? I've hosted gatherings specifically for people to talk about Emanuel Swedenborg's vision, and gatherings specifically to talk about Helen Keller's vision, and made sure that these experiences were really set apart from each other, differentiated. And in so doing, just kind of created all these different windows of experience, somewhat cordoned off from each other, to please others, to help other people feel safe, to invite people into this creative conversation in ways that would be comfortable to them, not really thinking much about what's comfortable to me, not owning, not resting in, not claiming the way I want to move in the world. Instead, I have continued to prioritize the comfort and the needs of others. And it's okay. I trust that this process has been unfolding as it needs to. You know, this certain mix of energies has needed to play out in the way that it did. And as I stand here today, or as I sit here today in my corner, as I record this offering on May 31st, this threshold of a new month, second half of this year, in the midst of day 6 of this creation journey that many of you here on the Substack are not privy to because I haven't published it here. But this time of fulfillment, of embodiment of life, I am happy to be having this awareness and making this confession to you, because it's going to be so useful. I just feel so ready right now over these next weeks to clarify what are the forms that really speak to me, and how can I allow myself to bring all of my interests, all of my creative pursuits into a unified way of being, because the reality is that's what I'm ready for. That's what Be Loved, Be Honest, Be Useful is all about, is that this is a way of living all the time, in every moment. And I don't care so much about creating curated spaces where we just do one thing or another thing. I want to meet people from this way of being exactly as they are, and trust that God is doing something in that meeting. I don't want to keep curating myself to be consumable. And I think the truth is the efforts I'm making to do that are really probably not working. They're probably creating more chaos in the system. I get the sense that I'm working hard, I'm considering this, I'm feeling this fear about how am I being received, and it's actually just creating interference and resistance, and making it harder for people to actually hear the message that I have to share, making it harder for me to bring the offering that I'm called to bring. And this, friends, this is what I've been saying all along, and it's the heart of the Swedenborgian tradition, and it's it's exciting to see it playing out in my own life. This is what I believe the new heaven and new earth is calling us to step into the holy city, to step into a life of regeneration and peace and health and wellness on this planet with each other. This is what it requires. It requires that we are faithful to our particular calling, to our particular understanding of the divine call, the divine voice. Not using our big brains to filter out the needs of all of the institutions and people around us and doing what's required. That stance is not going to take us into the new earth. It is not going to bring us peace. It is not going to bring us fulfillment. It's just not. As much as we may love those institutions, as much as we may love those people around us who we want to care for, if we are only making our choices based on what we perceive with our eyes and our ears and our brains to be needed by what we are perceiving those expectations are around us, we are limiting ourselves. We are cutting ourselves off at our knees, because there's all that information is of the past, and it's distorted through our survival needs and our conditioning. It's just not going to cut it anymore. It's so clear to me now. It's so clear to me now. And it's a hard thing to let go of, because I want to be heard. I want to be understood. It seems reasonable to use my awareness to perceive what's around me and to consider how I might fit in this larger design. That's such a reasonable stance, right? To look out and see, where am I needed, and then to fulfill that need. That feels quite reasonable. There's wisdom in that, I'm sure. There has been wisdom in that. But there does come a time in our lives, and I think this time is coming for many of us, for most of us, where the structures that have been created, that are meant to hold us and care for us, are just not cutting it anymore. And something new is being called into being. And that newness, it has to come through us. It has to come through our embodied experience of life, our connection, our insight, our intuition, our knowingness that we receive from embodied living, that is dedicated, attentive, devoted to the truth, to love and truth. I would say that's really all it takes. And if we're committed to love, if we're committed to the truth, then we will be given insight into how to be useful, and it will be not limited or defined by the usefulness that we can perceive and we can anticipate based on what we see and what we've been taught. It's going to be a new kind of usefulness. It's going to be a usefulness that flows naturally, that creates nurturance and wellness in ourselves as individuals, and that brings truth and creativity into the world that we can't anticipate how it will be used or how it will be needed, but it will be. I know it will be. In the very same way that the natural world, that the plants and the animals live what they live and do what they do, and it is good and it is useful and it is needed. And we need to live in that same kind of natural, loving, truth-guided way. So on May 31st, 2026, I offer this incredibly imperfect message, probably using too many words. I'm sure many people have turned the video off by now. Who knows who's hearing it and if it's coming through. And that's not up to me to perfect or curate. That's no longer my most important job. My most important job is to be faithful to the one who created and is creating me, to tending to this vessel that this creation is occurring through, and to lovingly tell and live the truth that I have been given to live. And I don't know where it will lead. I don't know if the Swedenborgian community will receive me. I don't know if I will be criticized or strung up. I don't know if I will be supported, or I don't know. I don't know where this will go. I haven't known where this would go from the beginning. And it's been a while now, and we've been going along, and resources have been showing up, and people have been showing up. And just this week, pretty soon, there'll be an article coming out in the Messenger written by Becky Greenwood about our recent retreat in April in Massachusetts. We had an incredible experience down in Bernathen that we'll be sharing about soon. This creation series has happened and it's been lovely. And we're now taking part in these incubation sessions, and it's wonderful to see the things that are emerging. And really at the heart of a lot of what these incubating new church life conversations, a lot of what's emerging is this reminder to just be faithful. Be faithful to myself as a vessel of the divine. And I just feel continually committed to that, and confident that there's nothing else that I could do that could be more useful to others. By my own example, and then by my own beingness in the world that is on this journey, growing, just like all of you. I'm grateful and I'm hopeful that this message will begin to seep more deeply into my heart and soul and bring more and more useful creation for others. And that I will be empowered to release this old message that it's my work to make myself palatable to others, to figure out where I fit and then do what is needed to fit there. And that I'll be more and more willing to just be myself and trust that. Because all I want to do is to be with others who are willing to trust that in themselves. And so, how could that not be the work? All right, that's the message. That's the messy message for this morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying with me in it. If you've watched it all the way through, please leave a little note and let me know. It would mean a lot to know that you're in this with me in some way. And thank you to all of you who have been with me in it. I mean, that's the thing. I have offered so many imperfect invitations so far, and I'm aware of that. And I trust that even in the maze of perfection and imperfection, goodness has been flowing. New life has been flowing. I can feel it. It has been flowing. And I can see it starting to take root in new ways. And perhaps it can only but come through this imperfect mix of higher ideals, higher evolution, and all of this humanness that we are all negotiating, that is just part of the journey, part of the mix, part of the beautiful mix of being alive. I'm grateful to be alive with all of you friends. Thank you for being on the journey, and have a blessed Sunday. Be well.